Hi everyone, it's Friday and time for Padre Reflection on our Spiritual Resiliency page. So I wanted to take a moment, I was really thinking about this today. I wanted to take a moment and just mark this week. For me, I'm coming out, I think today's the 18th, I don't even know, who knows anymore. 1 month ago today, I was eagerly, desperately looking forward to being home because I was away on a course. And I didn't know what the future was going to hold. I didn't know what I was going to get when I got home. I didn't know what was going to happen or what this month was going to look like. And had you told me then that this was going to be a month in social distancing and isolation, I would have been very nervous about that. Is the easiest way I can say that. I would have been very uncertain about that. And so I want to take a moment though and just mark this month. It's only been a month and it's already been a month. All at the same time. I can hardly believe it. I can't believe it. And yet it feels like it's been a lot longer, equal parts. So there are things that come about when we mark milestones, and there are things that happen when we take stock. And I think a month is a nice place to take stock. And sometimes I read recently a woman, an author that I like. Her name is Annie F. Downs. I think it was she who wrote that there's this hill near her house, and she walks a trail up it. And she said oftentimes step after step after step after step is a tough slog. And when you're looking ahead and you sort of see the top and it feels so far away, and I mean, we don't even see the top, but we'll get to that part of the metaphor in a second. But she said when you're just looking at the top and your destination, it can feel so far away. But occasionally when you turn around and look back, all of a sudden you realize actually how far you've come. And so if we just think back for a moment, just take a moment and think back over those first few days and that first week and how exhausting it felt and how uncertain it felt and scary it felt because we didn't know as we were watching the news and all of that. But you have kept walking. We've kept treading. We've kept scaling the mountain. How many metaphors can I use? But just day after day, you've shown up. You've shown up for your kids. You've shown up for your family. You've shown up for work, on behalf of work. You have kept things going. You have managed your own emotions, your kids' emotions, like the financial uncertainty, the different way to shop, we've managed all of those things and you've done a great job. I would venture, if you're at all like me, you haven't done it perfectly. And if you're like me, you've actually done it quite poorly at times. But I think that you probably are better humans than I am, so you've done it much more effectively than I have. But this morning I found, let me tell you this. This week has felt, new normal. We're throwing that word around a lot. New normal. And yeah, things are familiar now. Things are sort of stabilized. We're not fear-based so much. We're not frantic so much. We've got our routines. We've got our rhythms, whether they're good ones or whether they're beneficial ones or not productive ones. If you're staying up all night gaming and eating poor food and all that kind of stuff, those are choices you're making, and that's neither here nor there. But some things will be more productive than others. So I know some days I've been binge watching, and that just is what I've needed to do that day. But So it has felt like the new normal, and we all have our routines and we all have our ways to deal. But I think today felt heavy for me. I was listening to an audiobook while exercising my dog, and it was about some historical situation. It doesn't even matter, but I found myself weeping along with the people in the book and empathizing so deeply, and it had nothing to do with, I had to stop listening to my book about the Ebola crisis because it was just like too close to home. But this particular one was about a tragedy, and I found myself empathizing quite deeply, disproportionately to what I normally would. And I found myself weeping, and I thought to myself, my goodness, I thought I had this COVID thing settled. I thought I was feeling good. I thought I was coping well. And I have been reasonably well. We all have our days. But I realized in that moment, as I was cathartically weeping, that that's what we need sometimes. Sometimes we just see that things feel fine, but then we just need a pressure valve release. We just need a moment to sleep or to cry or to, that sort of thing. And so sometimes it's good to keep an eye on our own mental health, on our own spiritual resiliency, because we can have these leaks, we can have these moments that leak, and our responses to things are disproportionate to actually what's happening. So I wanted to encourage you that if there's something that's going on and you're, impatient, or you're more weepy, or you're more angry, or you're drinking more, or you're drinking less, or you're sleeping more, or you're sleeping less, or you're eating more, or you're eating less, whatever it is, just take a moment and assess what it is that you're trying to achieve or accommodate or fill. What feeling are you chasing with those things? And so it's okay. And we don't have to be afraid of the feelings. And part of spiritual resiliency is similar to physical resiliency, right? When you're running and you're training for a marathon, or you're training for a half marathon, or whatever it is, you're going to have days where you're sore and you've run the wrong way, or you haven't eaten properly and your run doesn't go quite the way it goes, quite the way it should. But you take a moment, you assess the situation, and then you move forward and you try it again, and you're better for it. And that's how we build resiliency. So those are my thoughts for today. I would love to hear if you have any comments about how you're doing, about what surprised you about this situation, or just even we can bemoan the fact that it's been a month, or we can celebrate the fact that, man, we've made it this far. So I would encourage you coming into the weekend to do something different, do something that you haven't done yet, and let me know what you've done. Have a great weekend.